Welcome to the VES-Artex Academy. Let's go learn about dairy steel.
VES-Artex's BioRail freestall system is designed for easy installation. The heavy gauge pipe and clamps are hot dip galvanized inside and out for maximum strength and resistance to corrosion. There are 3 different styles of installation when it comes to BioRail. The first style is a fully rail-mounted system. Here, every stall divider is mounted on the horizontal rails using components called T-posts. The second style utilizes a combination of mounting techniques. Most stall dividers are mounted on the rails using T-posts, but other stall dividers are mounted on the vertical posts using post-mount clamps. The third style is found in barns that have wooden building columns. All stall dividers are mounted to the horizontal rails with T-posts. The horizontal rails are mounted to the wooden building columns using a different style of post mount. Regardless of what style you have in your barn, the first step is to install intermediate posts in between the barn building columns. To make sure your intermediate posts are spaced properly, consult your VES-Artex representative's recommendations for your barn. You must also ensure that the intermediate post heights are uniform. The bottom of the intermediate post measurement begins at the top of the curb. Your VES-Artex representative will provide a recommendation for your intermediate post height. When installing the intermediate posts, it is important to make sure all posts are aligned on one side of the row. Because the intermediate posts and building columns have different diameters, they will not be aligned on the other side. This step is important because the horizontal rails will be hung on one side of the vertical posts. If the posts are not aligned on one side, then the horizontal rail will not be straight. Now that all vertical posts are installed, it is time to determine where the top horizontal rail will be hung. Measure and mark the proper height for the top rail clamp on the end posts of your section. Consult your VES-Artex representative's recommendation for this height. Rather than making this measurement on each post, pull a chalk line or string from each end post and mark every post in between. Now the top horizontal bar can be installed. Start at one end and clamp the bar to each post. There are clamps that perfectly fit the intermediate posts, and there are slightly larger clamps that perfectly fit the building columns. Hand tighten each clamp and wait to tighten them fully. The last section of the rail will need to be cut down to size with a metal chop saw. When all sections of the horizontal rail are in place, take a moment to ensure that the entire length is properly aligned and make adjustments as needed. When the top horizontal rail is exactly where you want it, completely tighten the U-bolt clamps with your impact wrench. When tightening U-bolts with your impact wrench, make sure that each nut is tightened incrementally so that you don't end up with an uneven positioning of the nuts. If the U-bolts are not fastened correctly, aspects of the BioRail system could end up uneven, unlevel, or insecure. Now that the top rail is secured, it is time to install the bottom rail. A helpful strategy is to use these post-mount clamps to know exactly where to install the bottom rail. If you do not have access to these parts, then the bottom rail should be installed 14 3/16 of an inch below the top rail. Make sure the bar joints are staggered. This will ensure the strongest possible assembly. When all of the clamps are assembled, tighten them completely with your impact wrench. Now that both horizontal rails are in place, it is time to install any necessary T-posts. Place the T-posts on the horizontal bars and space them properly. Consult your VES-Artex representative on the proper spacing of your T-posts. Check to make sure that all T-posts are level before tightening. Once you are sure the T-posts are level, tighten the U-bolts fully with your impact wrench. Take care in ensuring that you tighten each U-bolt correctly. If the U-bolts are not tightened correctly, The T-post may shift and result in an uneven final assembly. If you are using a post-mount system, assemble all necessary post-mount clamps using the included bolts and nuts. Hand tighten these first so that you can adjust their position later. Now it is time to install the stall dividers. Each stall divider attaches to its corresponding mount with included bolts and nuts. When installing stall dividers on post mounts, make sure it is level with all other stall dividers in the section. Once all of the stall dividers are installed, the final step is to install the shoulder bar. Determine the proper installation position based on your VES-Artex representative's recommendation. The shoulder bar position is measured from the outside of the curb. When you have measured the value C pictured here, mark where the outside edge of the clamp will go. When you have made that mark on each end of the row, use a chalk line to mark the rest of the stall dividers. Lift the bar into place and assemble all clamps. Finger tighten the U-bolts and wait to tighten them fully in case you need to make adjustments later. When the shoulder bar is properly positioned and the clamps are in place, tighten all bolts fully with your impact wrench. Finally, attach all necessary end bar supports. There are end bar supports for the horizontal rails, and there are end bar supports for the shoulder bars. Use the appropriate anchor to fasten the end bars to whatever surface you are working with. Congratulations! Now you know how to correctly and properly install VES-Artex's BioRail freestall system. Give yourself a pat on the back.